Hello there, my name is Martin Kentish. I run Free Range People. What I'm going to do in this presentation is give you a quick tour of how the company was created and what it actually does. Now, one of the initial experiences that led to the formation of the company was going into a pizza restaurant, a well-known pizza chain, and actually having a pretty awful experience. Yet when the waitress came over and asked us how it was, we did that classically British thing of saying everything was fine, thank you. And of course we walked out the door and moaned to each other and to other people. And subsequently we didn't actually go back to that restaurant for another 2.5 years, which equated that we didn't spend about £1,500 with that particular restaurant. So what I did at that time is simply write to the chief executive, tell him about my experience and the opportunity of creating something that could actually engage customers, get them to feedback, but that information to go directly back to the front line where they could listen and act upon it. The next experience was actually being caught speeding on my motorbike, and despite the fact that I knew I was speeding, the police officer that nicked me was actually very courteous, very professional. So as a result of that, I wrote to the chief constable giving that feedback, but also pitched the idea, which was, "You're nicked, how was it for you?" And rather surprisingly, he responded very quickly, and from the back of that we got a feedback project that captured customer feedback from experiences with police officers. And the last experience that led to the formation of the company was really going out with a nurse and realizing that she was coming back with various gifts and bottles of wine and chocolates, for example, back in the days where they could do that. Yet in the media, what was going on in the NHS was actually portrayed quite negatively. So this led to working with the NHS by providing patients a very simple, very straightforward way of offering their views, and that insight to be very quickly delivered back to frontline staff where they could listen, understand and act upon what they're being told. So when we created the technology, we had two things in mind. One, we wanted to make it as simple as possible for people to have their say. And secondly, we wanted that information to be delivered back to the right people as quickly as possible. So our idea was to essentially create brands and solutions that could then be spun out as independent brands or brands that are owned by us. And for example, the basic Free Range People technology allows us to create solutions for example, education in the Fidoo and School Whistle feedback brands, within the health feedback system for the NHS, live feedback, which is an instant polling system for events, and things like Branch Advisor, which is used within McDonald's. So here are some of the brands that we've worked with. One of the first companies that we worked with was Pizza Express and Wagamama's. We subsequently went on to do work with Tesco, John Lewis, McDonald's, Aviva, Costa, some of the retail brands, but we've also worked with the Royal Navy and the NHS. So really the solutions that we curate are branded for that particular sector, but in essence they do the same things. So in essence all the solutions really do is take the views from a group of people, whether they are patients, customers or staff, in ways that makes it convenient for them to say, and then delivers this insight through to the right people where it's acted upon, and subsequently encourages people to improve, to streamline efficiency, save money or to sell more. So here we have one of the simplest examples that we use within the NHS that's proved hugely successful. On the left there we have a feedback card that has on it the various instructions of how people can respond, including to complete the card and send it back via free post, but people may often choose to respond via the web, via email, text message or a call centre, for example. Now they simply tick the box and scribble the comments, and this information is then passed instantly back to the right people within the NHS where they categorise that particular comment, and from that we see that we can generate a dashboard, and that dashboard has multiple reports, one of which is shown on the right. Now we think it's very important that any activity that we're involved with actually has a direct impact on the bottom line, saving money, increasing efficiency, and actually increasing staff and customer loyalty. So for example, the McDonald's spend that they've committed with us for the last 3 years has yielded about £300,000 of repeat sales per branch, and a staff turnover that's reduced from about 120% down to 30%, saving a huge amount of money in staff recruitment and training costs. But there is a big caveat in any of this working. The caveat is that people and the culture of the organisation have to be willing to open up and to listen to what people actually want to say. And we fully accept that actually implementing this kind of system is a big step for many organisations. So our model for implementation and growth is to start very small, for example in a subset of all the branches of a particular organisation. And when it's yielded the value and it's been demonstrated to actually work, then to rapidly scale it up into something much bigger. So it could, for example, cover all the 1,800 or so branches that exist within that organisation, continually feeding that branch with insight, but also giving management higher up a view of what's going on so they get the appropriate dashboards and reports so they can understand from their perspective what is actually going on. So there we are. That's a quick introduction of who we are, where we've come from, who we work with and what we actually do. So I hope that's been interesting for you. I hope it's opened some questions that you'd like to ask us, and feel free to get in contact with us, martin@freerangepeople.co.uk, or there's my phone number. So I look forward to you getting in touch. Thank you very much. Bye now.